My name's Dean Parkin. I'm from the Quandamooka peoples from Minjerribah and Morgumpin, which is North Stradbroke Island and Moreton Island in Moreton Bay, just off the coast of Brisbane in southeast Queensland in Australia. The idea that we're all just the same, that everybody is just the same and why can't we all just be human, is actually a really naive and untruthful way of firstly understanding yourself and then understanding yourself with regards to others. Of course there's difference. Of course we think differently and feel differently. Of course we have different histories. We have different starting points in our lives, and our ancestors had different starting points in their lives. And of course that gets passed down. We're not blank bits of clay that then suddenly, arise at the same rate and at the same time under the same conditions. So of course we have different identities. We have to be truthful about that and honest about that and have a searching for that ourselves. So that's the thing that's at most risk, is that when people skim over the top of that and when they try to artificially smooth out difference. Why would we want to do that anyway? Difference is a good thing in our lives anyway. Who wants to eat the same thing every day and drink the same thing every day and do the same routine every day? We look for difference, we search for difference. This idea that we shouldn't be searching for difference and celebrating difference on identity runs against everything else that we do in our lives. So I think we need to be truthful about who we are, deeply truthful about who we are. Only then can we really understand and tap into the potential of what it means to understand others. One of the very unique things about being an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person is this idea of connection, and it speaks to identity really, really strongly. And in the Australian context, it's really important. In fact, it's a great unfinished business that we have in our nation. The idea that you've got peoples that have been connected to this country, to this land, for at least 65,000 years, probably longer. It means that we have a certain relationship and a certain way of understanding the story and the spirit of the land. And it takes patience and it takes compromise and a bit of understanding, a lot of understanding. And it takes, you have to lower the ego and a bit of humility to say, actually, my bonded identity, as strong as it feels to me, is maybe it's not as important to that other one over there. But where can we find some commonality? I think one of the biggest risks in this question of identity, this question of living well with different identities, is the concept of truth and actually being really, really truthful. And that point starts at an individual level and being truthful with yourself. Where are you from? And the question is not, are you from Australia? Because they look at the color of your skin and they're making, where are you actually from? You're not from here. Where are you from? And there's days where I just don't want to deal with that. But on the other one, when they say, well, where do you work? And my generic response to this stuff is I say, well, I work in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander development, community development. But sometimes I just lie and I just say, I'm just a consultant. And I use that word consultant just to effectively try and brush the conversation off, because I know that even just saying the word Aboriginal can trigger a whole bunch of responses. Sometimes it's great, it's curious, and people want to get into a really curious conversation about what you do and find it fascinating. So I have to make a split-second decision every single time what mood I'm in and what am I walking into, and am I going to be honest? Now, no way, shape or form is that me denying who I am or my identity, but it's a conscious decision. And in some ways, it was articulated beautifully by a colleague of mine, said that we'll know that we've crossed the Rubicon, so to speak, on racism and identity and belonging in this country when I don't have to take that split second to think about what it is that I'm going to say. I'd just like to share a quote. It's from an auntie from our own peoples. Her name is Udrununuckle. She's no longer with us. She wrote some wonderful poems. This is just a line out of a poem that it speaks to me. It speaks to connection to ancestors. It speaks to my role, and it speaks to what we want to achieve for those that are yet to come. To our Father's Father, the pain, the sorrow. To our children's children, the glad tomorrow.